So I wanted to get right into this thing, and normally since the game was on ESPN last night, yesterday was Max Kellerman's last show on First Take. Of course, before that, it was the knucklehead who went over to Fox. And I know a lot of people didn't like Skip Bayless, and that's why Skip Bayless was good at what he did. He pissed people off. He pushed buttons. And I think ESPN actually tried to get him back. Stephen A. Smith is the most highest paid individual on ESPN. He's making $12 million a year. And just to go to show that you know, it's not always that you're not good at what you do. It's just not your time. I remember Stephen A. Smith was given a show, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. Total flop. Radio show, total flop. TV show, total flop. And it just didn't go. They moved him around. You didn't hear from him for a while. Now he's back, and he is bigger than anything. And he's the biggest personality on ESPN, and he can talk about anything. And he's very, very good at what he does. So evidently, they ran this First Take show for 5 years, and it is widely known that Stephen A. Smith had everything to do with Max Kellerman having his last show yesterday. Okay. In other words, he got him fired. Okay. Now, Max Kellerman can stand on his own. He does a radio show on ESPN. Yeah. It's not like he's got fired from the network. He makes some good money too. But, I mean, this is a show that he thoroughly enjoyed. It was he came across as kind of a know-it-all a little bit, and I think that was very alluring, particularly from a fan that didn't play ball like myself. And then Stephen A. Smith obviously would push his buttons, and they disagree on things. So I want to play how it went down, because he was on screen. Stephen A. Smith was out of the studio because he had surgery for a sleep apnea situation, but he called into the show, and I want to play what it sounded like here.
All I wanted to say was to call in and to thank my man Max for the 5 years. Originally, when we talked, it was supposed to be a 3-year run, and the next thing you know, it's a 5-year run, and we've been number one every single year, and you had an awful lot to do with that. I wanted to thank you for your contribution to the show. I wanted to call and wish you nothing but the best moving forward, because you're going to be doing big things like you've always been doing big things. And I just wanted to let you know, my man, I'm calling to wish you nothing but the best, and I'm really sorry that I couldn't be there to tell you face to face to thank you for everything that you did for the show over these last 5 years. That's
Thanks, Stephen A. Stephen A., I'm glad you called in. It means a lot. And as did, people understand that Stephen A. had a lot to say who was going to be his partner after Skip left the show. And I was honored to have been chosen, and wouldn't trade the last 5 years for anything, and appreciated it through the years. And also, this is an enormous platform, and important issues were brought up through the years that I got to, and we got to opine about and use the platform to say things we felt were important in the world of sports, and when social issues intersected with the world of sports. And I'll always cherish it. But all things come to an end, and that's the end. This is the end of my run on First.
The only constant in life is change.
Okay, so tell me. You said it's widely known. Just widely known, kind of behind the scenes. Like, I mean, has there been any statement? Like, how do you know? He says widely known. I think this is important. If you
pull up why is Max Kellerman on the show, there's at least 15 different publications, including the New York Post, which is really close to ESPN in Bristol, that the reason that Max is no longer on the show is because Stephen A. Smith said it's not working for me. It doesn't work for me.
Uncited sources. I mean, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, but it is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. It is the truth. It is that. Okay. Because Stephen A. Smith got to pick his partner.
Right.
So he picked Max, and he is the one. And quite frankly, there's no other reason why he shouldn't be on the show. There's no contract dispute.
Right.
Max loves being on that show. And again, whether you like Max or not, it's not the point. Go ahead. And listen, Max must be secure enough in his own platform and his own radio and TV training that he knows he's going to be okay. Again, that's one of the most successful shows on ESPN. It has been number one for 5 years, so something's working. And then I'm just kind of like. And I'm trying to think if I've ever been in a situation, or if anyone's watching or listening to us on KCAST Radio this morning on the Tony Curry Radio Network, if you've ever been in a situation where you know you're being let go or moved to a different position because of someone you work with.
Happens all the time.
And then, and then I'm gonna take the high road kind of guy.
Right. But this was
Okay.
over. But this was over the. Okay, so two things here. One, it's interesting that something happened, because the reason I'm saying that is it was either an event or it was kind of going this way, right? Because you're on for 5 years, so maybe the last.
Well, I think
year,
I think the contract ended. You know,
Okay.
they signed a 3-year deal, then they signed a 2-year extension.
that's true.
And
then
the
he's
contract
like,
was coming up. Okay, what are we going to do here? And so he was given the opportunity. What do you want to do, Stephen A. Smith? Do you want to continue to have Max Kellerman as your guest because we're going to sign another 2 or 3 deal?
Yeah.
We'd like to keep it that way, but it's your call. And he basically said, I don't want Max as my partner anymore.
Okay, and so it may not have been a giant blow up, right? Stephen A. Smith may have just said, I need a change. I want to change. Okay, so that's one. And if it was that, let's just say that was that. Then this kind of platitude stuff back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay. You know the old thing. You don't want to burn bridges.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to burn bridges.
Yeah.
But if it's widely known, it's like, I don't know how to say this. It didn't need to be something like that. And I understand that they're celebrities. That doesn't need to be that public. It was like too much, too public. Think about it. This happens in the workplace all the time. Your boss decides,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me. Yeah. Well, I mean, and ours wasn't that way. We really appreciate everything you've done for us and blah, 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 blah. It was like, give us your damn keys. The police officer will escort you out the door after 30 years.
Yes.
No sour grapes here, by the way.
Well, but did you all rant and rave? Did you yell and scream?
No.
Right.
I think we were, I knew it was coming.
Okay.
I'm not sure if my two partners did. So it was more of a state of shock.
Yeah.
Like it just, because when you're in the same building and you work with the same people for 30 years, you just don't think it's going to end.
No, right.
And but it depends on how you go out. And it would have been really easy for me to take shots, but that's just bitter.
Yes.
And I have to think, okay, who's watching my actions now? So the best thing to do is to come out and say, and Dunaway and Brown and LT did that, but they left on their own accord. Okay, so they took the high road because they could.
Yes.
They decided they wanted to move on, and so they were thanking jocks and all this other blah 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 blah. And it was very difficult to sit there and thank them for everything they had done. But God's got plans for me, and when one door closes, another one opens.
I know.
But you have to realize that other people look at it.
There.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's not exactly the same thing, but that's what That's Max Kellerman is. They're playing nice. They're playing nice. They're playing nice because you don't know who's watching.
I don't have a problem with it. It's just kind of
too much.
I mean, you were smirking the whole time.
Because
You're like,
it started
because
off,
it was
the whole
everyone was so full of shit. It was
the whole conversation that whole thing could have been, I don't know, 20 seconds.
Yeah.
15 seconds.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I mean, I guess it makes sense for Stephen A. Smith to call in because he wasn't there. I guess, but this is one of those things where it's once you get past the platitudes and you get past like, we're not burning bridges, it's all good. Everyone knows. Well, everyone doesn't know that that's a farce, right? They may not hate each other. They may not hate each other, but there's a time when you call it off. You step it back.
Yeah.
It was too much on both sides. And it's nauseating, to be honest with you.
There was a lot of booty kissing there.
Well, on both sides.
And again, I don't think Max he's not losing his job and he's not losing any money. And so maybe he's okay with that.
Well,
maybe he's all right with it.
Maybe it was a love fest.
Yeah. I don't know. And the fact that Stephen A. Smith wasn't there on his last day, it's just like, come on.
Listen, I have been there. I've been there personally. I have been there as a helper, where somebody is let go from something, and it's not necessarily that they've done something terrible, right?
Yeah.
It's not that. It's it's the proverbial, we're moving in another direction.
And it's just not working yet.
It's just not working. It's moving in another direction. And listen, it's not easy to hear. It's not always easy to say, even if it's what you want. And that's the other thing I have seen more executives who want this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We want them to move on. It is not working. And they're all good until the moment at which, someone says, well, you need to go tell them.
Yeah.
And the biggest wusses I have ever seen are those executives who have someone else tell them. It is the most disgraceful.
I agree with you.
Wussy, like, and particularly the higher you are up, then the more you are in a place to be a person and to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, the other thing is it leaves the worst taste in the mouth of the person who's letting go.
Oh.
When they're, HR comes in, a VP comes in. I've watched it too. I've watched from CEO, EVP, SVP, VP, and then everyone keeps going down, and it's like, here, you're the director, you go tell that person.
This is a breakup.
Yes.
This is not you. This is me.
Right. Right.
I need to grow, and I want to go in a different direction. This is not where you are fantastic. Yeah. What you've done for me and what we've accomplished together is fantastic. And this is not you. It's not a you problem. This is all about me and my insecurities. And I'm sure, based on everything you have to offer, you're going to land on your feet and you're going to be in a much better place. And that was the one thing of all this that I was like, Max Kellerman is pretty much got his own platform. He's good. He's fine. I mean, he's not going to be looking for work anytime soon, right? He can go anywhere he wants. And he's very, very smart, and he does his homework, and he does his research. He may come across as a little off, a little crass, and a little snobbish and uppity, but people seem to like that, particularly with a Stephen A. Smith. That's why I thought it worked pretty well. But I think it's really interesting when Stephen A. Smith said, you're going to be moving on to bigger and better things, and I'm like, dude, I mean, what do you do? I mean, bigger and better things. He's on First Take with you. It's the biggest thing on that work.
Is it possible? Is it just possible that Max Kellerman was like, I don't want to do this anymore? Is it possible? Like that just Stephen, like I've been doing this for 5 years. He's getting on my nerves, kind of thing. I mean, is that possible? That despite how big it is, because that's the other thing I've seen is this is a great thing for me, but I don't like it anymore.
We all want to be wanted.
Yeah. Well,
right?
That's what I'm saying.
Even if it's in a relationship that's not good for us.
Yes.
We don't want to be the ones being told that the most powerful person in the relationship, in the organization, and whatever you're in, that it ain't working with you. Even if you know it's not best for you.
Yes.
You don't want to be told by the really good-looking woman or the really high-powered boss, or in this particular case, Stephen A. Smith, who looks like he's running ESPN out of Bristol. I like you and you're great, but
even if you know, like you said, even if you know for yourself, this is not working out, you want to be the one. You want to be the one that says, I don't think, we talk about Dunaway and Brown and Lance is, this is not working out for us. Uh-huh. Like, I mean, even if they were going to be like, oh, you always want to be the one that calls the shots versus having someone say it to you, even if you know it's right. I've been in that position personally. Mm-hmm. I knew it was not working out for myself, but that idea that I don't want to quit, I don't want to let go, I don't want anything. And when the person told me, this is what I think is really interesting when we're let go, because it's particularly when you know it's not working out for you, but you don't want to be the one. And somebody goes and breaks the news. You feel like crap. You feel rejected. You feel terrible. And then some point down the line, a week, a month, a year, you go, that was good. I mean, it felt horrible, but it really wasn't right for me.
The one thing that I would ask, because again, this crosses every line. If you're ever in any type of relationship, it could be a neighbor.
Yep.
Hey, listen, we just don't get along, and I think it's best if we just don't even talk to each other. It could be a relationship. It could be with your boss. It could be in a job. Patronage is just like, and it's hard not to want to do it because you want to lay them down easy.
Well, you want to make it. You know what you want to do? Listen, this is the whole thing about difficult conversation. Sorry to cut you off. You want to make it okay. We see this all the time in a breakup, in marriages.
And you're making it okay for you, not for them, because it makes you feel better by saying, listen, you're going to find a much better person.
That's it, right?
This is not, I was not going to be the right person for you. I know in a year, because I got the old, in a year, I promise you, you're going to be in a much better place. Well, and I wasn't in a better place in a year. I wasn't in a better place in 2 years. Now 3 years, I am in a better place. It took some time, but I don't need to hear that crap.
Well, and it's super bad. Listen, I understand why people do it. We all do it. We want it to be okay. Again, I think breakups of relationships are the best example. Mm-hmm. It's not you, it's me. You're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know, I think you're the greatest person in the world, which the reason that that's bad is it is sending the most mixed messages. You know, I'm leaving you, but you are great.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be horrible, but it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
The most courageous people are those people who are able to sit in the discomfort and be honest about it and still be compassionate.
Yeah.
And what you have to do is you have to learn to shut up. This is not working out. It does hurt my heart that this is not working out.
Mm-hmm.
I am moving in a different direction. We are moving in a different direction. And I am sorry that it has come to this. And then the person's like, they're waiting for you to make it okay.
Yeah.
They do it in the Dallas Cowboys show all the time.
Yeah.
There is that uncomfortable moment of silence. And in that silence, there is an opportunity. Either you to be quiet and let them have their pain, right? Or you to try to start like making it all better. When you start doing that, all you're doing is you're throwing salt on the wound because you're not letting them start the process of healing. I see it all the time in relationships.
Yeah, I mean, give them hope. But if they're strong and secure in themselves and they realize they just got dropped from being on the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, then they know they're good looking. They made it that far, and you're going to have your people pat you on the back and say, listen, you got this far. This is good. You've got something here. But that's not what you want to hear during the breakup.
Let me tell you,
is the hope. You build your own hope.
We watch this making of Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders at home. They do a very good job of cutting people because what they say is they speak to their talents, but they don't say it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
They don't. They just say this is the direction we're going. And then you get that awful gut-wrenching moment of nothing's being said. And, you know, look, this again, and that's why I was so nauseated by the Kellerman, Stephen A. Smith.
I
He
was
also should have
too.
just been quiet. Like say a couple nice things if you feel like you have to do it publicly. And there may be reasons publicly, PR reasons, you know, say it. Love you, brother. And you're going different directions. It's going to be good. Just wanted to let you know. And you know what it told me? Let me tell you what it told me when I hear that. That is both of them consummate professionals. I mean, they are media experts, right? They're both of them too uncomfortable to know when to rap on that.
Well, and ESPN has gotten hammered over the last 4 or 5 years because certainly of cutting the cable, where they were making $5 to $6 per subscription, and as the millions of people cut the cable and they're streaming and you can get Netflix and blah 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 blah, it's killing them, and so they've had to reorganize their entire their entire. And by the way, ESPN is the most expensive channel you can get, period. Everybody wants ESPN, whereas some channels like Lifetime is 17 cents a month on your cable bill. ESPN is $6.50. I mean, it's a huge amount of money. And so they haven't done a particularly good job. They had the two females, the NBA, who now are both gone, that they didn't handle particularly well. A lot of people are like, they want them to get up and say, listen, here's the deal, you're done. And instead they just kind of let it work its way out, and it just gets, you know what it is? It's ghosting. Or it's not roaching. What's the dating term when you're with somebody and you know it's not going well and you just let it fizzle out, rather than sit down and have that tough conversation and say, listen, we know this, both of us know it's not working. You're crazy about me, I'm not crazy about you, and it ain't gonna happen. Instead, you just kind of stop calling, you don't return messages.
That's ghosting.
Things start getting canceled a little bit. Next thing you know, you let them get pissed off enough that they have to bring it up to you, and then you finally say, I'm in a funk and things are not working out, we need to take some time, but and you just don't want to face the music, right?
Yeah. It is
and it's difficult when you're in a relationship.
Courageous leadership, courageous relationships are those relationships where you can stand in that moment, take what's being given to you, but also give it to you in a way that you're not making it over. You're not making it over, and you're not trying to be, look, this is not working out, you're fired.
Yeah.
You've got to have the compassion there, and it happens in every facet. And the other piece I don't like, and I hear this a lot and I understand this, it's not personal, it's business, right? Which it may be.
Yeah.
Don't say that. Don't say that in the workplace. Don't say it's not personal, it's business, because it is personal. It's personal for that person who's leaving. It doesn't mean that no matter what you say, it's personal, even if it's got to do with I'm cutting the person because of budget or whatever.
Yeah.
Simply say what is happening. say it in a nice way, a compassionate way, and then shut up. And I always say this, give the honor. If you respect this person so much that you're dumping, give them the respect to experience their own rejection.
Yeah. It's certainly personal when it comes to the Jimmy Hell Mission, the official charity of KCAS Radio. I love Michael Coleman, everything he's doing with that program and that testimony that he does with the Jimmy Hell Mission. They're going to change you spiritually, vocationally, mentally, physically. They've got 5 different facets of areas. When you're ready to take that first step, will they give you a warm place to sleep and a hot meal? Absolutely. But they want to see you get back in the workforce. They want to see you back with your family, get your GED, whatever it takes you to be the best person, the best version of yourself that God has given you as the gift. Do it with the Jimmy Hell Mission, jimmyhellmission.org or jimmyhellmission.net.com. You can go to any of their sites. They're all the same thing. It's Jimmy with an IE. And for $5 a week, you can change the life of a woman, man, or a child. They've got a brand new men's center. They got Jesse's Place. They're doing fantastic work. And while we're all seeing all this different money floating around and these $1 trillion budgets and all these things, there are a lot of people that are still hurting. And a lot of it has to do with addictive properties. They will deal with that as well. Check out the Jimmy Hell Mission. Go to our website, kcasradio.com, kcasradio.com. There's a donate button right underneath our thing. Tap that thing, give them $5 a week, and you're going to be helping somebody out in a major kind of way. Some other celebrity news, which I think is really interesting. Do you like Joy Behar?
Yeah.
I got caught into The View for a little bit when it first came on. For the same reason that I read Cosmopolitan magazine, I was trying to figure out what the hell you women are up to.
Cosmo, Tony Reed.
I absolutely got a subscription to Cosmo and Redbook at one point because I was like, the old saying is, once you realize you can't figure out women, you figure them out. And so guys will read things, and I swear they write articles in Cosmopolitan for men because they know men will pick it up. And we're doing more than just looking at the pictures, right? We're like, okay, well, what does she really want me to do here? Or what am I supposed to do for Valentine's Day? Or how am I supposed to make love to her? Or what am I supposed to do? And so I started watching The View, and it's been around for like 23 years. It's one of the longest running midday shows, so there's something there, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it was started by Baba Wawa, and it was 5 gals, and they're on there bickering, and I called it the old hen show, and But I would listen to some of their stuff, and they do a lot of the same things that we do here.
Yes.
Sometimes you could swear they have nothing ready to go. They just randomly pick a thought, and next thing you know, and they all came from different political views.
Yes.
And so from that point, I get it. It's not my type of show, but I get it. Joy Behar is the last remaining member on the show.
Yeah.
She's been there for 23 seasons. She's 78 years old. I actually brought her on stage at the Comedy Club Stardom.
Really?
She's a comedian.
Yeah.
And she was crass and she was funny. She was very good at what she did, and she has remained the constant on that show now for 23 years. So she was asked the question, how did you last so long on The View?
Yeah, and she's had some pretty...
Oh, man.
I mean, not just on The View, outside of The View. She said there's been many opportunities for them to let her go.
Yeah. And comedians for the most part are very unapologetic.
Yeah. Right.
You hired me to be funny.
Right.
You knew what you got when you had me.
Yep.
This is the way I am.
Yep.
I'm going to step on some toes. I'm going to say some things that aren't politically correct. Get over it.
Yep.
Well, she had a little different little twist on how she's kept her job, or she's been part of this for a long time. She says, well, I've gotten in trouble a few times on the show.
Yep.
I've had to apologize, which I'm happy to do in order to save mine and everyone else's jobs. I don't care, even if I don't mean it, and I haven't many times. I still apologize. The when you need a lift author and liberal voice continued, even if I look like I'm in a hostage takeover, I'll still do it. I'll always apologize because if you don't do it, you lose your job and everyone else's. It was created by Barbara Walters back in the day, features a roundtable of women discussing particular topics. Of course, those fraught discussions was appealed viewers over the year because they actually like to see them get after it. She mentioned her satirical platform can be rough around the edges sometimes, and she would subsequently have to apologize. She said, I think I've apologized probably over 100 times on the show. My comedy has never been vicious or mean because my intent is just to make you laugh. That's all. I don't have any other motive. And so if the intention is in the right, and your heart is in the right place, I think you can never really go wrong. I've offended people for sure, but whatever. And if I've asked to be apologetic for something, I do it even when I don't mean it.
Okay, that's pretty disgusting.
It is disgusting.
Like, we do this. Let me just say, I always say for our listeners.
I know a lot of people like that.
No, I say this for listeners. Like, this is, I never know what you're going to talk about.
Yep.
Just I want to say, because I got to think about this for just a second. I mean, if you go on her apologizing because you have hurt somebody, even if your intentions were good,
yes,
you
okay.
should.
It's all right. That's
you
good.
should. It doesn't. You
A lot of people
never
won't do
say.
that. Yeah.
You never say. Well, I didn't mean. I never meant to. And we see terrible
A
apologies.
lot of people will not apologize because they know their intention, they know their heart. Well, I didn't mean it that way, and it's your fault that you took it that way.
Well, that's exactly. So
and I'm not apologizing for it because I didn't mean anything bad.
Well,
by it.
or sort of the politically correct of it. I apologize if I have offended anybody. Shut up. Shut up.
Yeah, I like that.
So this one though, and she's Jewish, by the way.
Yeah.
She's got some she's got some chutzpah there.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's like
this
saying,
almost sounds like it's her last season.
Well, yeah. She's literally saying, I'm going to apologize to sort of neutralize whatever is happening so that I and maybe others, because she alluded to, we don't lose our jobs. Now I was thinking about it. Let me think about it.
I knew you'd like this.
Just think about how many of us have done this. How many of us have done this? How many of us have apologized?
Well, and again, I always think about relationships.
Yeah, well, that's where I'm going.
How many times has a guy apologized to his wife or his girlfriend, or vice versa, and was like, I don't apologize, but just for sake to get through this thing over and move it on, I'm sorry if I offended you. I'm sorry I did what I did. I didn't understand it. Now let's move on. Just to get it over with, even if they don't mean it.
But even if you say, that's what I think is interesting about her, is if you apologize and you're saying, I'm sorry that I offended you.
Yeah.
That's legitimate. That's a legitimate apology. Mm-hmm. She's kind of alluding to, I'm not sorry I offended you. I'm not sorry I offended. I'm not sorry I did anything, but I'm just going to say I'm sorry, and I must have apologized 100 times. Here's the other thing, Joy. That was a dumb move in public.
Yeah.
I don't care how powerful you are. You just went down a notch.
Again, it sounds like it may be her last season.
Well, yeah,
she's 78 years old.
Well,
she's been on the show for 23 years. She's mailing it in. She's like, hey, listen, whatever happens at this point, I'm good. I've made my jack. I'm going home.
The other thing, too, which I think is interesting about The View and her, she's like, this is my kind of comedy, right? I don't mean to offend. She's on The View. She's been on 23 years. She's not doing comedy on The View.
No.
You know what I mean?
She tries. She tries to be funny.
Inserting a funny thing.
Yeah.
And you being a comedian on a show like that, 80 to 90% of what you're doing is not comedy. So don't pull the I'm a comedian and it's almost like pulling the comedian card. I'm a comedian, and because I'm a comedian, I offend people, and because of that, I should get a pass on it. No, you offend people, you offend, apologize. That is the worst thing to do. That is the worst thing to do, even if it's true. You do not say, look, I just apologize so that we can stop this argument.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine if you say that in a relationship?
No, I know a lot of people do it.
No.
They keep screwing up, and they're
no. Yeah. If you said
the best is whatever I've done.
Oh, jeez.
Whatever it is I've done.
I'm sorry
and I've said it. I'm like, I don't know what I said or what I did, but whatever it is, I'm sorry. There was no intention there, regardless of what it is. That is a wash.
You can twist that one. Listen. You can politically, when public figures do that, that's a wimpy ass way out.
Yeah.
But in an individual relationship, if you really are stumped at whatever it is that you did that upset them,
mm-hmm.
instead of saying first, whatever it is I did that's got you upset, I apologize. You go the other way. You go, look, you're upset at me, and I honestly don't know why. Can you help me understand what it is that I said or did? You need to say that first.
Yeah.
So that you know what you did, because otherwise your apology is completely half-assed.
Yeah.
You don't get to, it's like what we said, you don't get to go, I'm sorry, I don't know what it is, I don't know why you're so upset, but I'm just sorry about that. Man, come on.
And maybe, again, anything that runs for 23 years,
yeah,
I don't care what time it runs, is pretty impressive.
Right. So what do we? But see, this is the same thing as the Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith. Shut up.
Yep.
Shut up.